Let us go to the next letter. Letter C. C, which stands for creating good families. So the fourth principle, universal principle of peace, is that family is the school of love and peace. So the fourth principle is that world peace has its foundation in the family. You know, the family is intended to be the first school of love. It is in the family that the most basic personal and public virtues are learned. All religions of the world recognize marriage as sacred. You know, in fact, despite, having different cultures and rituals, all the religions of the world place a lot of importance on marriage. Strong families have served as the fundamental institution for transmitting to future generations moral strength, traditions, and values that sustain civilization. That is why the family is the natural and fundamental group unit of the society. Definitely, there is no institution on the earth that is greater than a family. As Dr. Sun Myung Moon emphasized that the family is the most important school in human life, for it is the school of love. Even our Constitution emphasizes that the state recognizes the family as the foundation of the nation and that marriage is an inviolable social institution. Therefore, if we are aspiring for nation building, then strengthening of marriages and families is so important. We can say that, regardless of nationality or culture or religion, the experience of belonging to a family is the common denominator. So when we can say that the family is the cornerstone of world peace. In a typical course of our life, right? A child grows up among siblings and peers, gets married, and becomes a parent. So these are actually the basic stages we pass through in life. So we experience these four realms of love in the family. First, we experience child's love, right? Then siblings or brothers and sisters love. Then spouse or conjugal love. And then finally, parental love. So all other forms of human love are derived from these four realms of love. So as a child, what are the primary virtues that we can learn? First, as a young child, we learn to respect and obey our parents. This becomes the very foundation for a life of respect and gratitude. If children grow up in a very good relationship in the family, respecting their parents, then naturally they will also grow to respect elders and authorities. Then, when a younger sibling is born in the family, we learn to adjust, we share love, and we live in harmony and cooperation, right? So if in the home, brothers and sisters love and care for each other, then it's easier for them to have concern for other people. But if they fight each other in a family, then when they go out, mas madali na sa kanila ang maging palaaway at basagulo. Now, how about husband and wife relationship? What are the primary virtues? We have conjugal love is built upon absolute trust, fidelity, and commitment. And then, based on that commitment of marriage, this is an important preparation for parenthood. When husband and wife love each other unconditionally, even in difficult times, this deepens their capacity to love. So the fourth realm of love is parental love. This is actually the most demanding and most sacrificial of all the realms of love because it requires constant investment and sacrifice. A parent's love is unconditional, and its reward is the child's well-being and happiness. So the family, we can say, is the school where we first learn to what? To live for the sake of others. It is the school where we learn good morals like respect. And then in the family, we learn the virtue of filial piety towards our parents, right? Then if we extend that to living for the society, then we practice charity. And then when we extend that to the nation, living for the sake of the nation, then this forms what we call patriotism. So family is the school of living for the sake of others. What is filial piety? This is a very strong virtue among us Filipinos, the willingness to sacrifice for the sake of your parents and your family. That is why we can see many Filipinos who sacrifice themselves working in foreign lands, right? For the sake of their family. So filial piety is like saying, I love my parents. I will live for the sake of my parents. My parents are the best parents in the world, and if needed, I am willing to die for the sake of my parents. And based on this foundation of filial piety, we extend that to love of nation. And this forms patriotism. I love my nation. I am willing to live for the sake of my nation. And if needed, I am willing to die for the sake of my nation. So we can say that the family is the school of raising patriots for the nation. Another fallacy in Marxism is their belief in the abolition of the family that views family as a means only for exploitation and private gains. This is absolutely false. The truth is that the family is the school of love and peace, and that strong marriages are the very foundation of a strong and peaceful society. So let's go to the last letter, E. E, which stands for empathy. So the fifth principle and the last universal principle of peace is that peace comes through cooperation beyond boundaries of ethnicity, religion, and nationality. So the religions of the world are like, repair shops. Through the practice of our faith, we could find our way back to God. So we can see that religion is the source of humanity's deepest values and highest ideals. And through religion, we can see many people who have undergone personal transformation. Religions provide the spiritual and moral framework of the society. However, if religions or religious belief is misused for selfish gains or purpose, it can have devastating effect. And it can pave the way for conflicts and block the way to peace. In fact, many of the wars and conflicts happening in the world now are rooted on cultural and religious differences. So, faith and religion is not the problem. It is the selfishness and greed of people using religion and faith for their own selfish motives. So all religions seek for peace. Yes, the religions of the world may be different in terms of traditions, rituals, and doctrines. However, instead of focusing on the religious differences, we have to look at the commonality, the common values in all religions. This is the fundamental change of paradigm that we need in order to bring peace. So, what is the origin of conflict? It is the conflict within me. It is the conflict that comes from violating the basic universal principles. Basically, it is the problem of what? Self-centeredness or selfishness and greed. The mentality of others exists for my benefit. This diminishes the value of the whole. So if, people continue to live with this mindset of me first, then solutions will not be realized. So the conflict and violence that we see in the world today are actually what? Just expansions of the selfish patterns that started from where? It starts from me as an individual. Then expand this conflict in the family, conflict in the society, conflict in the nation, and eventually conflicts in the world. So the true expression of the world's genuine faith and tradition connects us to the deepest values of humankind. It is faith that can give people the power and the heart to love and forgive, to have the compassion instead of hatred, resentment, and violence. The highest expression of love for others is found in the commitment to love one's enemy. Yes, we have to end the cycle of hatred, resentment, and violence. As Mahatma Gandhi interestingly said, an eye for an eye will make the world blind. Also, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said this, we never get rid of an enemy by meeting hate with hate. We get rid of an enemy by getting rid of enmity. Yes, loving the enemy You know, Dr. Sun Myung Moon and Dr. Hak Jae Moon, the founders of UPF, are well known for their teaching against communism. But they met with Mikhail Gorbachev in 1990 and with Kim Il-sung in 1991. It was a historic meeting, not of enemies, but of friends, of brothers who long for true and lasting peace. We learn in this fifth principle of peace that the assertion that the conflict in society is the force that drives change and development is wrong. Peace and development comes from living together harmoniously in an environment of interdependence, mutual prosperity, and universally shared values beyond ethnicity, religion, and nationality. So, let us summarize the 5 universal principles of peace. First, that God is the parent of humankind and we are one human family. Second, we are essentially spiritual in nature. And third, marriage is sacred institution and that the family is a school of love and peace. And fourth, God's ideal is to live for the sake of others. And fifth, peace comes through cooperation beyond the boundaries of ethnicity, religion, and nationality. I would like to end with another story behind the famous Nobel Peace Prize. Do you know the man behind this? Yes, it is Alfred Nobel. So, who is Alfred Nobel? Well, he was not as we know him now. He was the inventor of dynamite, which, of course, we know that these ammunitions were used to kill many people in the past. He also has built 90 armaments factory. In short, he was a notorious rich businessman. But what made him totally change? It was an incident while he was in Paris. He came upon a newspaper that gave him the shock of his life. He read an article about his death with the news headline that reads, "The merchant of death is dead." Well, he totally changed his perspective in life. He was afraid of what legacy he can leave behind when he dies. This is not what he wanted to be remembered in history. To make the long story short, he sold all his properties and assets and placed everything in a foundation to recognize people who have contributed for the betterment of humanity for the cause of peace. That foundation was the one that started the now famous Nobel Peace Prize. So, what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind?